October 6th. It's around 8 a.m. Been having a hard time sleeping. Yeah. Had a dream. Been thinking a lot about Hannah. And my sister. In the dream. Not the one I had last night. But just thinking about, like, you know, how I can go from one extreme to another in the sense of communication. I scared my sister with the information that I shared. I didn't share enough, right? One extreme. I didn't share enough. And I caused her to panic. Not that I caused it, but I contributed to it, right? I mentioned, right? Communication is a dance. It's a two-party dance. It's the person on the receiving end and the person who's communicating, right? And then you switch roles. You switch roles. And I've shared before, maybe, I don't know. I think I have, in the very beginning, maybe, how sometimes I can be a little too much. Sometimes I just speak too I speak too much information, right? Because there's like so much going on here, and so sometimes I can speak too much. Sometimes I can say too much. Sometimes I can say too much. It's funny, the videos that are, you know, that have posted, and recently it's about keep it simple, Yui. My sister-in-law was like, keep it simple, Yui, keep it simple. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do too much. Sometimes I give too much. And I was thinking, I shouldn't have said or heard those letters that long. You know? I shouldn't have said those letters. But I did. It's done, right? And then with my sister, I didn't communicate enough, and I, contributed to the anxiety that was triggered in her, right? From not having enough information. Yeah. And when I give too much information, I can be overwhelming. I know that. Sometimes putting it into practice is harder, you know? And then I was even thinking about, like, the line of work that I'm doing. And I'm having to be mindful too, like, especially when I'm providing psycho ed, which is really more me teaching, right? Providing information, talking more than listening. But for whatever reason, in that format, right? In that world, I'm able to navigate it in a balanced way. Clearly, because I'm good at it, right? But in real life, it's something different. It's harder to do that. What's a dog? I don't remember anybody having a dog. Must be a new pet. Someone got a pet. But yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about. It's just those two people. And with Hannah, like, she blocked me. So I'm like, okay, well, well, there you go, right? Instead of reaching out or saying, you know, oh, this really hurt me, or this bothered me, or hey, I want to have a conversation with you about this letter, or even emailing back, right? At any point to say, I don't want to read this. Stop sending him, right? It was just a straight up block. Okay. With my sister, she avoided my calls for a while, but then she eventually, and then I was texting her. I was like, I'm sorry. And then we talked, right? And then she expressed what she needed. She's like, don't do that to me again. I'm like, okay. Right? And I recognize it too. I didn't give her enough information. And then with my sister-in-law, it's completely different. Like it's just so nice. It's nicely balanced. It's nicely balanced. But she's a good communicator. Like out of the three, my sister-in-law is really great at communicating. Like, but she grew up being able to express her needs and her wants and her dislikes in a verbal way. That's why I consider her my sounding board. Because in terms of communication, she was able to experience that in a way that I wasn't able to. So I go to her a lot, like, when am I, or I'm off. And she'll highlight the way for me. And I looked, and her chart is her north node is in the third house of communication. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But so anyways, so I've just been thinking about them. So I had this dream that prompted this realization, right? Or re-realization, because, you know, it's parts of me that I'm aware of. Well, not, I know, but sometimes it's not in my present moment, right? That I can turn people off when I say too much. And so sometimes in the moment, I'm just operating, right? Like, impulsively just operating without thinking. So in my dream, they're both in my dream, but I don't remember what Hannah was doing at all. Like, I just knew she was in the dream somewhere. The image that stands out the most is my sister. And the thing is, I was overlooking. So at first I wasn't a part of it, and then I was overlooking the ocean, and they were all on those surf thingies, and there was a shark right underneath coming. And that's always been one of my fears, is I want to conquer my fear of the ocean. That, you know, I want to, I'm going to get my scuba diving license. I'm determined to get it for that purpose, to be able to go scuba diving in the ocean, in the deep part of the ocean, right? And be submerged around, like, all of that. Oh snap. Scared me. My alarm. And be submerged around the unknown, really. Be submerged in the unknown. Because I'd like to travel and be able to go in the ocean, right? And check out these cool places, right? Things that we don't normally see. I follow the Bucket List family, and they've done a lot of cool stuff underneath the ocean. And that's what inspired me to want to get my scuba diving license and conquer that fear. Really, it's a fear of being in the deep side of the ocean. And so so I'm seeing the ocean. I'm seeing not just my sister, but actually my sister, I don't remember seeing my sister there. It was my brother and the kids. And and I see this shark underneath, and I'm trying to get their attention, hovering over. I'm trying to get their attention, but Chicha gets bit. Chicha's one of the twins. She gets bit on the leg, and my brother's carrying her. And now we're inside. Now I'm on the couch, and I'm holding, initially it was Chicha. I'm holding her, and we're trying to keep her warm from the shock, and trying to wrap the, to create like a tourniquet or something to wrap the blood. But then Chicha becomes my sister. So now I'm holding my sister like a baby, and she has this wound. And I'm trying to get her to follow advice. And I'm like, put on this jacket, it'll keep you warm. And in my dream, she follows the advice. In my dream, she follows the advice. She gets up and she's putting on the jacket. She's putting on the jacket, and then she lays back down in my arms. Yeah. And I'm just calming her down, reassuring her. Because she was cold, and then her body was, when you go in shock, your body gets cold. And then when you lose blood, your body starts getting cold. So we're trying to keep her warm, trying to control the bleeding. And that's all I remember. And there's fragments of other parts of it, but I was in and out of, like, it was in a deep sleep because I've been struggling sleeping lately. And so that dream was reflecting on it this morning, and that's what came to mind. Is I realized, even with working with adults, and I already knew this too. And I was telling one of my old coworkers, and she was worried about. She's like, I don't know if I can deal with adults. She said, I don't know if I can work with adults. She's only worked with kids. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of people in private practice who can't do kids, who don't know how to work with kids. So I told her, you're just starting off. I used to supervise her. And I continue to encourage her. I'm like, remember, you are the tool. You are the primary tool in this puzzle piece, right, of therapy. And so don't worry that you don't know. Just worry about holding space. Just worry about holding space. Just be there with them. Right? That's all you have to do. And then you'll get, you'll learn some activities, which reminds me, I need to send her some of these activities. But I'll do that right now. But I was telling her, as I'm working with adults more and more individually, and I was telling her, I said, I'm learning that if you know how to work with kids, adults are gonna be cake. It's gonna be cake. And here's why. Because adults are struggling with inner child wounds. Inner child wounds. So you're dealing with children, just in adult bodies. That's all. You're dealing with the hurts and the pains of a child or a teen, right? Depending on where. I mean, that's what trauma is, for the most part, right? When there's a trauma or an intense emotional event, you kind of get emotionally stuck there. And so I'm using a lot of I use a lot of handouts and activities in session in a playful way, right? To try to tap into the different learning styles of individuals. And some are more visual learners, some are more auditory learners, some are more hands-on learners. And, So I was telling her, I'm like, yeah. So now I'm thinking to myself, in terms of how am I going to continue to operate in life, right? Because I was kind of struggling with it. I'm just like, do I have to censor myself? Like, no, it's not that I have to censor myself. I just have to stay balanced in my communications. So what does that look like, Yubi? Assert yourself. Make sure your voices, your needs are being met, right? It doesn't mean that you allow other people to just speak freely and not speak your truth. But doing it in a way that you just anticipate that the person in front of you has an inner child. If I not assume, but just anticipate that that's the person in front of me, right? Doesn't matter who it is. Stranger, neighbor, friend. Just anticipate that this other person has an inner child. And so then when I communicate with them, simulate, like if I'm in a session, right? Like, put that hat on. Put that hat on. And I'll be okay. Until the foundation is set, and then I can let loose a little. I can do the real me. You know, and then, you know, hopefully the more I do that, the more that will become the real me, right? Practice. Conscious effort, really. So anyways, that came to mind. So I need to work on that. Continue to work on it, right? Continue to work on my communication, and making sure that I stay balanced in that. Where I'm not just over giving, where I'm making sure my voice is being heard, my needs are being met, but being flexible enough, right? In that communication piece of it. That was all. Just want to share on that dream and that realization. And of course, you know, a work in progress. I'll get it done. I'll get it taken care of, right? We learn through our mistakes.
Hi. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us. In whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth, this just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience, and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me. So